The Hospitalitarian podcast focuses on conversations with forward-thinking people who make the community of New York State hospitality compelling and noteworthy. If it's happening in food, beverage, or agriculture in New York, we are digging in. Welcome back to The Hospitalitarian. I'm your host, Tim Hardiman. Today's guest is someone who embodies what this show is really all about: community, craftsmanship, and the long game of building a food business the right way. Suzie Jones is the co-owner of Jones Family Farm in Herkimer. For more than 2 decades, Suzie and her family have been shaping the local food landscape, raising livestock, making cheese, working with chefs, food hubs, and neighbors, and constantly adapting without losing sight of their values. In this conversation, we talk about how a farm evolves over time, why some ideas scale and others don't, what it means to grow without becoming industrial, and how economics, infrastructure, and family all play a role in the food we eat. We also dig into the length of our food chains, why knowing where your food comes from matters, how fair pricing keeps farmers in business, and what happens when the next generation steps into the creamery with fresh ideas and curiosity. If you're someone who cares about local food, hospitality, or just wants a deeper understanding of what's behind the products on your plate, this episode will give you a lot to think about. Here's my conversation with Suzie Jones of Jones Family Farm. The Hospitalitarian podcast is focused on people who affect the food and beverage economy of New York State. I'm starting off every conversation with 3 questions. And before you and I get to talking, because we can do that, I want to set the table with these 3 questions. So the first question, Suzie, what are you reading?
Oh, crap. I'm not reading anything right now.
Well, you might be listening to something.
So, I don't know when this is going to air, but this is this is holiday season right now.
Sure.
So I am really busy not doing the things that I really enjoy doing,
That's
which
a
is
fair answer.
Listening to books and stuff. I am so excited, though. I picked up a book that was recommended to me called Flavorama.
Not heard
Ariel Johnson or something like that.
Okay.
Flavorama. Anyway,
Flavorama.
yeah.
Well,
and
the name has me already.
Yeah, it's a lot about the chemical balance and imbalances that make food taste the way it's meant to taste.
Food science.
Yeah, food science.
Cool.
So I'm excited about that, but that's going to be sitting under my tree.
Until
and I will read it someday.
Yeah, January,
yeah,
right?
Right.
What are you listening to?
I'm listening to a lot of Christmas music.
Are you really?
I am. Isn't that weird?
It's Peter's fault, isn't it?
No. I am in the mood for it.
Wow.
I am 100% in the mood for it.
I would not have guessed you to be early December.
Isn't that
Christmas
weird?
Music
So
listener.
I love music. I don't know if you know my background. My dad is a high school band director.
I
now
remember
retired.
that, yeah.
I even love
Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin. I even love polka music.
Well, of course you do. You're from Wisconsin.
He's a professional polka musician. So,
That's
I
awesome.
grew up listening to that. But I grew up listening to so
There's
many
only
different
one polka
things.
game in the central New York, and that's Fritz's
Sure.
polka band.
Yeah. There's a Fritz in every band, I swear.
So that is great. Christmas music for you. And then the third question, and probably the broadest one, is what right now is inspiring to you?
Oh, boy. I should have read these questions ahead of time. Because I did read them, and then I didn't read the third one. What is inspiring to me right now? I've been enjoying, there's a YouTube channel called A Cheese Course.
Okay.
And it's produced by Jay Moskowitz. He and his family have cheese import business in New York City.
Okay.
And he created, have you heard of the Cheesemonger Invitational? It's kind of like the Olympics for cheesemongers.
Okay.
So they've been doing this kind of thing in Europe for a long time. And
making cheese a competition.
Making cheesemongering a competition.
Palette.
Yeah, it's right. It's really to celebrate the cheesemonger and the job that they do.
Cutting an even pound.
It's not just retail.
Right.
It's not just slinging cheese. It's knowing about cheese.
Sure.
So he's like, let's bring that to the U.S. And for the first time this year, they create a team. They do it here, and then they take a team to Europe. For the first time ever, an American woman cheesemonger won the European.
I heard that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's great. She's super.
Was she from Wisconsin?
No, she's from like Philly, I believe. But anyway,
good for her.
The cheese course. It's a YouTube channel where he talks to different people. He's doing kind of a podcasty thing.
So those
that's
three
fun.
questions that I ask
Yeah.
are really designed to give me fun things to listen to and look
Sure,
at,
right.
But it's also, I think, sets the stage for our listeners and gives a little bit of insight to you as you are a person. So that's the lightning round. That's over. Now we just talk.
Okay.
Let's rewind a little to that 21 years ago. So you
Sure.
and Peter were in the greater Boston area,
Yeah, Gloucester.
Gloucester, and you had 2 kids.
First was born there, yes. And then
Maggie was not.
no, Margaret was
not.
born here. We moved here. Harper was 4, 3 or
no
4.
kidding.
Yeah, and moved here, and had
So
Margaret
tell
here.
me about that. And I don't want to spend too much time looking back, but I do think it's important because you and Peter, your husband and business partner, you guys made a big choice.
It was a choice.
big, and you took a big chance.
Yeah.
So like what was happening in Gloucester 22 years ago when you decided that
This is the thing to do.
tell me about that because I don't know if I've ever asked.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's so long ago. What were we even thinking? My God. But so I was going into Boston. I was working for a investment management company, and I loved it. I really loved it.
You loved
really,
being in Boston?
I loved being in Boston. I didn't like the commute, but I loved my job.
This was the
was
big
good
dig,
at
though,
it.
wasn't it?
It was big dig, which is what we weren't that far away, but it took an hour and a half no matter what I did. And but then we had our first child, Harper, and I'd leave in the morning before she got up, and I'd get home at night, and she was already in bed. But I loved my work so much. Like if I lived across the street from it, I would still spend as much time there.
Sure.
I knew how much I loved it, but we didn't. We knew that wasn't sustainable, and we had a toy store at the time, and
A retail toy store
a retail toy
that Peter
store
was running.
that Peter was running. We called it Fun Among Us.
That's right. And
Right.
where was that? Was in Gloucester?
That was in downtown Gloucester. Yeah. And that was after, the aftermath of the perfect storm, the movie, the book, all that. So, times were good. But it was actually mostly Peter who's like, you know what, this is not what I want to do. He's always wanted to have a farm. So he grew up, and it's going to sound like this is the Peter dream, and it really was the Peter dream. I feel like I've just been along for the ride.
Yeah.
But making it happen. Like he's always been the idea guy, and I've always been the make it happen girl.
The realist.
The do it girl. Yeah. Like, I had to make it work.
Right.
So he's like, he wanted to have a farm. My family all skipped a generation, but grandparents, uncle, everybody's
you grew up
farmers.
in a farming family.
Yeah. So, I certainly was familiar with
farming
it.
community.
Absolutely. Yeah, in Wisconsin. Right. But value added. So my uncle and he started a sausage making business.
Okay.
In the early 70s. And so his sons were, do we stay, whatever. But one of them said, I'm just really tired of seeing these cull cows go for nothing. That's such a waste. So he started a sausage making business, and at one point,
sausage making business.
Beef, but he was adding in pork. He's
Okay.
specialized in summer sausage.
Okay.
Yeah, really, some of the best stuff around.
That's so cool. And summer sausage is kind of a Great Lakes thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Midwestern for sure.
Yeah.
I don't see it around here. I would get some, and I would bring it back. Even when we were back in Gloucester, I'd give it to friends, and they would fry it up. It's like, what are you doing?
No, just slice it.
No. Just gnaw on it. It's delicious. So I grew up going to that butcher shop. I would spend
That's
the
so
summers at my
cool.
grandparents' house, and Grandma was in there running the grinder. I would see my Aunt Dorothy, and she was running the register. It was a Piggly Wiggly.
Really?
No, Red Owl. What am I thinking?
Red
It's
Owl.
a Red Owl. It was
That
a
was
Red Owl.
it was a chain?
It's still, and they've changed it. At the time, it was just a little grocery store
Really?
with this in the back.
No kidding.
Yeah, and you'd go in the back and see all the halves of cows hanging in the cooler. And the smell was intoxicating to me. You've got it between the butcher shop and the smoke.
Sure. Yeah.
I love it to this day.
So suffice it to say that Peter's dream was a farm, and you're like,
Right?
I know what this is all about.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, you on some level you subscribed to this.
Yeah. Well, I did want to spend more time with my kid.
Yeah,
And, and I was able to get a consulting gig with my old company.
Okay. Cool.
Convince them that they needed me, which they didn't.
To work remotely, which was not a thing then.
No,
really.
right. So I worked remotely for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And
So tell me about finding Herkimer, finding Mohawk Valley?
Well, yeah, I guess long ago it seemed like that wasn't possible, but you still could shop online for property. You still could take a look, and we would come out in little trips and come and look at it. What we liked about this area is it looks very much like, if you've ever been to Eau Claire in Wisconsin,
No.
You've got these rolling hills.
Okay.
It's kind of northwestern Wisconsin, not that far from Minneapolis, St. Paul border.
Gotcha.
And it's rolling hills,
So
some forests.
you felt some sort of
at home.
kinship to it.
Yeah, for sure, for
Okay.
sure. And the Adirondacks, minus the mountains, remind me of northern Wisconsin.
Interesting.
Very piney, a lot of lakes.
Where your farm is remarkably picturesque. I mean, you can see for miles.
It's a
from
pretty
there.
spot. Thank
it
you.
really is.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and when we saw it too, it needed so much work.
It was a dairy farm,
It was a dairy farm. Yeah.
and it was affordable-ish.
It was for right. Well, we were moving from Gloucester.
Everything's affordable.
In comparison,
Everything.
we could dump our house, pay cash for this, and still have money left to fix stuff up.
Wow.
Like that's, yeah.
The American dream.
Right.
So let's fast forward a little bit, because those first years, I know what those were like, because I've started a business, and I want to start to understand, how your process really evolved once you were up and running, because your business has changed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah.
In those first few years, let's say around the food shed time, you're at the Clinton Farmers Market at Clinton, New York. What was your focus? How were you guys operating the business? And then, like, let's look at it today.
Yeah.
So kind of the beginning, not the beginning when you bought the farm, but the early days of production.
Sure.
And now. Would
Sure.
you frame that up for me? Like,
Right. Well, yeah, I know. Well, steer me if I'm going the wrong direction, but when we started, it was really in reaction to other people and reaction to what we were producing.
Sure.
So we just got some chickens because it would be fun, and the eggs were fantastic, and started giving them to neighbors or selling them.
Yep.
People loved them. Same with the meat, with the chickens. We got the goats pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and tried selling meat, and we didn't find the right customers right away, but
Yeah.
everybody said
the
they loved
market was
cheese.
still developing,
Yeah.
right? So you were livestock first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but everybody.
Do you have cheese?
I love goat cheese.
Do you have cheese?
You can eat goat. I'd rather eat goat cheese.
Okay.
So yeah, we got the hint, and yeah,
What was your first cheese?
it had to just fresh Chev.
Okay.
Yeah, and we started with those little hockey puck
Yep.
shaped guys. That's what we started with.
That you still
That we still do
make
today. Yeah.
and so you start making this cheese. At that point, you were milking still, were you not? Was it? That
We
was
were
your
milking.
milk?
Yeah, we bought a small herd of Nubians and started milking, and we're making cheese. We borrowed space. Maple Hill,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
remember, started
Yeah.
up here, and they were in the old Piggy Pat's building
In Middleville.
in Middleville.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow, what a brand that is now.
Yeah. So we borrowed space from them.
Okay. To make
when
your
they
first
weren't making, so
cheeses.
we're making our first cheeses, and realized pretty quickly what, the pros and cons of that. Mostly being kind of cons, because you don't have control over the space, you don't have control over the cleanliness or any of those other things. So and time. Peter's making cheese overnight because they needed it during the day. So that's when we decided to build our own little cheese plant.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you built the cheese plant there on the farm,
Yeah.
and did all your due diligence with Department Ag and Markets.
Yeah. Yep. Running our own milk through and realizing pretty quickly that we couldn't make enough milk to meet the demand on the cheese. Plus, also, we're livestock farmers.
Sure.
I was good at making meat.
Right.
And I've been the one really handling the animals.
Yeah.
Peter's facilities management, he's the cheese maker. I'm livestock.
Okay.
So I was just not good. And I'm happy to admit that. We
Sure.
quickly found people that were really good at making milk and happy to sell it to us.
So that was the first real transition, kind of away from livestock and milking, and paying a little bit more attention to sourcing milk from your neighbors.
Yeah.
And making cheese with it.
Yeah.
Instead of both.
Yes. Yeah, couldn't do. If you can't do it all, just don't.
So fast forward to today, you don't milk anything.
No, right. We still have livestock.
Right.
Yeah, lots of lambs and
You can't milk
goats.
a chicken.
No, I can't. I don't want to.
Interestingly, I think this is a perfect time for me to tell the whole world what I think Suzie's band name should be, should she ever have a band, and a polka band probably.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
if she was to do that, her band name would be Suzie Jones and the Goat Bones.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I can see the merch already.
I am the funniest guy I know, honestly, just like your husband.
Well,
Peter.
if you can't make yourself laugh, then
Look, I'm an only child. Have you heard about Grow Brewing Company? They brew some really special beers. Get this, they release 4 new beers every month. It's originally a nomadic brewery concept, but they now have a super chill tasting room in New Hartford. They've got live music every Friday and Saturday. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram, growbrewingco.com. So today, I still think you are cheese first now.
Yeah, right. We've chosen that one to scale up. We were kind of doing both for the longest time. It was kind of 50-50 in terms of where our income was coming from. The chickens, which we raise on pasture, process ourselves. We also have a 5A slaughterhouse where we process chicken. And then the cheese. So between the two of them, it's easier to scale up the cheese and still have kind of a bare bones staffing in place.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I have always respected about you and Peter is in the flow chart of your business. When it comes to hiring someone, you generally revert back to a place where you can redesign a concept to keep it you guys.
Everything in our plant has been designed for one person to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've had helpers here and there for markets, but for the most part, for all intents and purposes, it has been you and Peter.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the two of us.
And
except now.
I was segueing there. By the way, this morning I looked at your website. I probably haven't looked at your web because I see you all the time.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at your website in years.
Sure. Why?
If we're going to segue into the third employee, you probably should think about a little section on the website for your daughter Harper.
That is a good idea.
Is now
she's a full-fledged cheesemaker now.
She is a part of the farm.
She is.
This is really cool. She went to school, SUNY Stony Brook.
Yeah.
For anthropology.
Yeah.
Of course she would be making cheese, right?
Right. She was a double major, anthropology and art history. And she did her senior thesis on ancient cheese making. And as it turned out, the head of the SUNY Stony Brook anthropology department is from Wisconsin.
No kidding.
And was super psyched about what Harper was doing. And they had a thing. Like, she really had a great person on her side.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so graduation, moved back to Central, to Herkimer.
Yeah.
And here she is on the farm again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jones family.
Right. I know. Well, it's not the thing that I ever want. I've never wanted. Even if she decided tomorrow, I'm done making cheese, I would be fine with it.
Of course.
Of course you want them to follow their own path. There's also, in the middle of all of this, in between our growth and between her making decisions, we had a pandemic in there. So,
right.
Things have changed. And it's really hard for a kid these days of her age to find a place to live that isn't way more expensive than when I had my first apartment. So
this is a good place. Maybe it's not long term, but for right now.
For right now, this is what we're doing.
Harper's making cheese.
That's right.
What does she bring to the table I guess I'll ask that question. What does Harper bring to the cheese making? But also I'd like for you to kind of give us an overview of your portfolio of cheeses because, well, I'll leave it at that. I could opine about Jones cheeses. I've been using them and eating them for a long time. Yeah. But I would like to hear you give me a snapshot of your portfolio and tell me what Harper brings to the table.
Okay. Well, our number one seller in terms of volume is the cream cheese, New York creme cheese, or just CREME.
Yeah.
We make
formerly known as Kayahora.
Exactly.
The artist formerly known as Kiahora. It will always be Kiahora.
Yeah. People just didn't know what that was.
Yes.
In fact, they couldn't even pronounce it. So, if you want to go any further afield than a farmer's market and try and be on a shelf somewhere, it needs to be identifiable.
So the
in
New
some
York
way.
cream.
New York cream
crown.
cheese, yes. So we do that. That's a cow's milk cheese. The rest is goat for the most part. So we do fresh chev, we do buttons, we do bulk for restaurants. We do feta, a goat milk feta.
The
brine.
greatest feta I've ever had, bar none.
Thank you.
Every feta is measured against it, whether cow's milk fetas are.
Oh, it's garbage. Yeah.
Sheep's milk fetas can be very good.
Yes.
And there are some wonderful worldly sheep's milk fetas. You don't see a lot of goat milk feta.
No.
Yours is better than the best.
Thank you. I appreciate
I
that.
love it.
Thank you.
And I don't know how to make cheese, and I don't know whether it's there's a lot of a degree of difficulty to feta, but that to me is what is your standard bearer. I interrupted you, so
That's okay.
New York creme and fresh goat and feta.
So those are the flagship three.
Always have
Right?
them
Always have them. Always do.
in pretty significant quantities these days.
Yeah. So that's not. I'm going to just take a little detour.
Sure.
We're right now, between November and December, doing tons, literal tons for the Rochester food banks.
Fantastic.
So it's all going through Headwater. If you're familiar with
Headwater
Headwater,
Food Hub. Great
they
operation.
do such a good job, and we are very, very busy making cheese for them.
I should get somebody from Headwater to come on this podcast.
That'd be great.
Suzie.
Stefan would be wonderful.
Stefan would be great.
Yeah.
So you're busy with those three flagships.
Those three, and Harper started by taking over feta making. I
really?
didn't immediately take it over, but she started.
That's where she started.
Helping out, and that's where she started.
Okay.
So we're getting goat milk every week, and we just said to her, "Do you want to play with some of this? Do you want to make some fun, funky cheeses?" Because we've tried that in the past.
Over the years, you have had a variety of different,
Yeah.
I guess I would say, artisanal.
Sure.
Cheeses.
Yeah, we've done some fuzzy rinded things.
Some blue.
Yeah,
Way back
blue
when.
was fun. Yeah. Well, and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Till you
A lot of bloomy rinds.
Yeah, right. So
You've washed a rind or two.
yeah, well, so we've done like a wine soaked.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't done any of the like the bee linens, that orange, like a
Right,
brick
right.
almost.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
not done that yet.
Okay. The black pepper.
Yeah, the Belper Knoll style that
Yeah,
we make
yeah.
at the Hex and Truffle.
Yeah. So you've played around with a variety of different artisanal cheeses, but they seem to come and go.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it kind of comes down to who's buying it.
Yeah.
Is somebody
they don't
buying it? Then they
necessarily
go.
pay the bills, right? Those
Right.
artisanal cheeses.
Right. I do like to keep the lights on. So
I hear you.
Yeah.
So Harper is playing around with things.
She is. Yeah. And what she brings to the table is a curiosity and a patience that I feel. And I am not the head cheesemaker. In fact, I'm not a cheesemaker at all. I'm in packaging and I do the invoices, right? So, and the deliveries and stuff. So Peter is the head cheesemaker, and he's tried to do those things, and he just lost patience. Things would go south, or he'd forget about them in the cave. And you go and look at them weeks later and go, well, there's
That's
money
not
just,
good. Yeah.
the chickens are going to eat well today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the chickens eat the cheese if it doesn't go to the humans.
That's
right?
exactly right.
So you have Harper and Peter making cheese, and I don't know Harper that well, but I find her to be quite a bit different than Peter.
Right.
Peter is affluent and boisterous, and
Yeah.
especially in the cheese making plant. I've
Yeah.
seen him in there, and
Yeah.
his shorts and his videos for the
Yeah. He has fun.
Harper is far more stoic and
Yeah.
serious.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think where their personalities cross are they both geek out on things.
Okay.
Like they're
They can
probably
get
both,
really
they're
into
both
something.
on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And
sure.
they, aren't we all though? I should say that.
These days,
Yeah,
everybody's
we all
on
are.
the
Right.
autism
So,
spectrum.
but either of them will stop me and tell me whatever podcast they just heard or article they just read, and because they are fascinated by this thing and they got to tell me right now. And I'm always amazed because like, how how did you remember that? And I love that you're excited about that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, but they both have that they get really excited about certain topics that,
Great.
yeah, that are completely not on my radar.
Sure. And but that's the quest for, knowledge or quest for learning is, well, that's great. So you have a father and daughter cheese making team, and mom keeps the thing on track.
That's right. Yeah, maybe I'm driving the bus. I'm not sure, but
So what I've tasted a couple of things in the last few months that Harper's been making, but is anything gaining traction at the markets or?
Yeah, so they were all very small batch, and she was experimenting every single time. So she made, she was calling it Pazuzu. I believe, named after some ancient Mesopotamian god. Because this is where her.
This is her
interests lie, right? Yeah. So it was a mold ripened. So you got your P. candidum, which is that white brie type mold on the outside. And she did a layer of sumac, a very, very finely ground sumac through the center. Like you might see a cheese that has a layer of ash.
A line.
Yeah. And so when you make this kind of cheese, there's a scoop in the morning.
Okay.
Scoop of curd that has to drain into a basket type mold.
Okay.
And then she'd put a little salt, a little bit of sumac, and then at the end of the day, another scoop, and then,
And so would it bleed pink, brown?
No, it stayed pretty consistent.
I didn't try that one.
So of course the sumac gives you notes of citrus.
Sure,
tart. You got bright tart.
Yeah. And, which the goat milk is also tart.
Yeah.
So this isn't a contrast, but more of a complement.
It's a note that it's kind of a repetitive note. Okay. So that's where I think we're going to go do some more experimenting.
Gotcha.
So we just had dinner a few nights ago at our lovely friends at Nola's.
Oh.
And as we love to do, go back and say, thank you, chef. That was wonderful. And Harper said, hey, what would you pair with sumac? Like maybe the one notiness is not working for us.
Sure.
And he suggested a couple things, and I'm going to forget what they were.
Well, let's not let the cat
we don't want to go exactly. So she's going to play with it.
I may need to have Chef Jansen Fay on here to tell me what pairs with sumac. So that's very cool. And I just think that the evolution of your farm and the fact that Harper, for whatever it's worth right now, is a part of the fold is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And you should put her on the website.
Yeah, I should. You're absolutely right. And get some sexy pictures of the cheeses she's been making. Yeah.
And Margaret is away.
No, she's home. She's going to MV.
Oh, she is? Okay, so she's at school locally.
Yeah, just getting those first 2 years out of the way.
And do you see her being a part of the farm?
She is.
Well, you wouldn't have never thought that Harper would have been a part of the farm, right?
So she's interested in ecology, and she's going to be going for some internships this summer that will hopefully take her away. I do want them, if nothing else, you need to go out into the world and experience it. You're welcome to come back if you want. Yeah. If she were to be interested in anything, she loves the field work. She loves running equipment. She doesn't mind the animals.
So Peter may have an assistant. And if Margaret was to return, you might have her.
I might have. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not going to count on that. I really do want them to go fly. In fact, what I want for Harper more than anything is to get an internship for herself. Jasper Hill or Four Fat Fowl or somebody close by.
Four Fat Fowl.
Any place she could go and learn and bring that back.
Yeah.
Because right now she's really just teaching herself.
She could learn how to make St. Stephen.
Yeah. Right?
Arguably the best New York State cheese.
Is it pretty good?
Oh, you've never had it?
I have one in my fridge at home right now, waiting for New Year's.
It's dying for some tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, although it's not tomato season.
No.
Perhaps one of the most exciting new wineries in the Finger Lakes is Apollo's Praise. And their wines do not collect dust. So they encourage you to join their Wine and Glee Club to gain first access to their wines, especially the very anticipated 2025 vintage. Visit their website, apollospraise.com, or on Instagram to connect with them. I hope our viewers or listeners now have a pretty good sense of what Jones Family Farm is. One thing that I saw on your website that rang true to me, and the way that, and you have a wonderful way with words. I know that copy on your website is you.
Me. Yeah.
And your blog posts and your newsletters are fun and interesting to read, but you talk about how short the food chain is.
Yeah. Yeah.
With us.
Yeah, I love
with
that.
You and I. Mm-hmm. I love that too, and that's what, like this concept of farm to table is pretty rudimentary. It's not like this complex marketing thing.
No.
It's this.
Sure. Right.
I love how short the food chain is.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And that's kind of what you and I have both built our businesses on, you know, and I've stepped away from the tailor and the cook, but I still want to focus on the length of that chain.
Yeah. Yeah. There's problems with it. I mean, as you well know, I'm sure you've talked about lots, is, when you were buying a tailor and the cook, so much of your time was spent with all these little dummies like us trying to get all these
and texts and calls for one product. Sometimes.
Herding cats. I'm sure it was not ever easy, but at
a certain point, that became just how I did it, though.
Sure, right. And from my standpoint, as the person who's trying to make these sales, first of all, I hate sales.
Right.
You have no idea how much I hate
Most farmers do.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody. But it's, I really do get going. And it's probably the reason I won't give up the one farmer's market that I still do, which is Clinton, because
New York,
I do
my hometown.
Get to talk to people. And I do love getting their reactions, and I do love that connection. I really do.
And you do a good business there.
We do.
A hell of a good business.
We really, really do. Yeah, it'd be hard to give up.
Didn't you 1 year? Didn't you leave it for 1 year?
No, not Clinton.
Okay.
One day. I might have skipped a day to go camping or something.
I remember when you were scaling back the retail portion of your markets.
But to my point is I can't clone myself.
No.
And how do you scale up? Like, we've worked really hard to scale up in the cheese plant, for example.
Sure.
Like, we built a new building 5 years ago and have been producing in there. And now we are actually doing a huge expansion. We just got some funding okayed yesterday.
Really?
So we won 2 grants, totaling nearly $100,000.
Is this through the state? Or?
This is one through the state, one through the feds.
Awesome.
And, of course, you have to spend the money before you get the money.
Yeah.
And if I had the money,
I wouldn't
have had to ask for it. Yeah. So, we got some bridge funding for that. But so when we built the building 5 years ago, we ran out of money building the building.
I recall.
Yes. And didn't have anything left over to scale up the equipment that we're dealing with.
So you got this great space and all the same equipment that
all
was in your original plant.
Yes. And we've been doing that for 5 years.
Yeah.
So we now will be getting stainless steel pipeline. It'll look more like a cheese plant. We'll be able to pump milk from point A to B. We'll be able to cool
instead of
and
schlepping
heat.
It around in buckets.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Peter's not getting any younger.
No, certainly not.
None of us are. So that's big.
Because there are some economies of scale. I mean, you need to have some volume here, because we already talked about some of those beautiful artisanal cheeses not necessarily paying the bills.
Yeah.
And we've also talked about the length of the food chain. I think in your case, in the case of Jones Family Farm, and the production of those 3 flagship cheeses that we talked about, the creme, the feta, and the fresh goat, you can produce a lot, and it sounds like you're going to be able to produce more. So the chain may get a little bit longer in that you're in some cases looking for one middleman. Maybe a distributor of sorts.
Yeah, we do work with a couple distributors.
Yeah, a couple of great distributors that are focused on New York State products.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's as long as it gets, one middleman.
Yeah.
And in most cases, no middleman.
Yeah.
But because there are these economies of scale and you can make high quality, higher volume cheeses in those 3 categories, what's it like looking for that middleman, that distributor, that food hub?
Yeah, we've worked with a couple different distributors that didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
And you don't really know that till you try.
Sure.
So, it's always an exciting new relationship, and then you realize It's just not meant to be. But honestly, I've never had a distributor fix all my problems. Right?
They're not going to do
They're
that.
not going to do that. And in a lot of ways, too, they're not salesmen necessarily. They're good at logistics.
They're distributors.
Right. And I don't want to be in that business.
Right.
And I also realize the shortcomings of standing at a farmer's market and selling out of a cooler.
Yeah.
So there's got to be somewhere in between. And, certainly I drive around.
Sure.
I go to restaurants and I show up in the back and I throw cheese in a cooler and I say thank you and I keep going.
Well, that mix of wholesale and retail.
Yeah.
Right? That's important. I learned that at Utica Bread. You've got to have a little because, wholesale, your margins are thinner, but that keeps cash
potentially moving more. Yeah. Yep.
And cash flow
is king.
Fixes almost everything.
Yeah.
Then your retail sales, where the food chain is shorter, your margin can be larger.
Full margin, yeah. But again, it's when you look at our mix, it's probably 60% distributor now. We're mostly distributor.
Wow. So tell me about the path of some of these cheeses. Like where can New York creme get to now?
It's all still in New York State. So
cool.
Headwater is mostly food hubs.
Yep.
So but then it's Finger Lakes Farms.
Yep.
They get us into the city, into New York City, and into the western part of the state in the Finger Lakes.
Damn near the whole state?
There's a whole big middle area, kind of where we are, that they don't distribute. They don't do the Hudson Valley.
Gotcha.
They also work with smaller distributors who then subcontract, like FLX artisans.
Yeah.
So there's a world that I don't even know about.
Sure.
I'm just happy they're moving it.
Right.
Yeah. But and we've worked, and I don't want to bash anybody on your podcast because there was a distributor we worked with in the Hudson Valley. It seemed perfect, but then they didn't seem to have refrigerated trucks when they picked up, and the cold chain is kind of important.
Yeah.
So, like I said, they don't always work out.
Too, the Hudson Valley is, as far as New York State goes, that's the shining city on the hill, right? There's a lot of cheesemakers down there.
Yeah, right.
Making and so if that's your last area to saturate, so be it.
Sure.
But you have the way you've scaled up those 3 flagship cheeses is so admirable because while you're producing significant quantity, they're still just as good as they always were.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks.
I think it's really important to remember, there is a place for those cheeses made in higher quantities, but still very much by hand.
Still by hand, yeah. Well, when I think about scaling, we are so far from the size that is industrial.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to happen in my lifetime that we're ever going to be that big. And nor do I want to be.
Right. But you need to be able to scale up in ways that make
sense.
Business sense.
Absolutely.
Right?
And, part of what helped us win these grants is we're saving water, we're saving energy, propane, and electricity. There's a lot that's just going to help lower our cost kind of per pound produced.
Awesome.
Which is huge. Yeah.
So a lesser footprint, really.
Yeah.
And that's important.
It is. It is. I mean, where we are on our little hill, we have spring water. So if we weren't making cheese, we'd probably be brewing beer because it is some of the best water you've ever had. It's wonderful.
Okay.
It's delicious. And when you're making a feta, we're making a brine, and you're going to be having Mr. Salt on, right? Mr. Syracuse Salt soon.
Yeah.
And so having a good salt and delicious, wonderful water, that helps the feta quite a bit because it's sitting in the brine.
And so you're using Syracuse salt for your brine?
We are not. We need to really look at that.
We should have lunch with David and talk about it.
Right. I mean, it also comes down to cost. So if we could lower our other input costs, like if we weren't spending so much,
then maybe you could buy the
right salt.
I'm sure you're not buying iodized table salt.
No, we're not. No, right. It is.
But that's interesting. So in the feta, and I am a champion of your feta, the brine matters too.
It does. Yeah.
The water matters, the hardness of the water, what's in there, and then the salt.
Yeah.
I can't even get over how good it is. I mean, I always keep it in my fridge, and we will have it tonight in a little lentil salad that I'm making. We've got some friends coming over. But I had never really thought about the brine as being
Integral part.
an integral part.
Absolutely. So there are two different ways you can make feta. You can dry salt it.
Okay.
A lot of people do that, and that's kind of, yeah. And then there's the brine. And we make up a fresh batch of brine every time.
Okay.
Some folks live and die, like if you've heard of Peter Dixon. He's kind of like the gold standard when it comes to raw milk cheeses in the Northeast.
Okay.
And he talks about saving brine and how that adds to flavor. And I would say it absolutely would. But we are not at a scale. So the big guys will save their brine.
Okay.
But they have the ability to filter it and run it through. They can pasteurize it because you're going to get pathogens that are going to go in there. It's going to happen. So they have a way to, and then to even check it with a slimniter. Is that the right word?
I have no idea.
It's something. The thing that tests the level of
I'm not going to call you out on it.
There's a
slim
thing. There's a thing that will test the level of salt. So
salinimeter.
Something like that. But we're small. So we just make it fresh every time. And it has this.
Raw milk cheese guy says the best thing you can do is save your brine and pasteurize it for your.
Well, that's ultimately what has to. He doesn't say it has to be pasteurized.
I'll be getting an email about that probably. So
I'm
that's
a huge fan of pasteurization, by the way. So we pasteurize all of our cheeses.
It's been saving lives for.
Yes, exactly. I feel like we're all 6 inches taller because of it, isn't it? Because we're drinking more milk. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. It keeps certain feds off of our backs too, and it just makes cheese making easier.
There is a part of the market for raw milk, but
sure.
It's a dicey situation.
Sure. Well, the 3 cheeses we're talking about, the flagships, those are all fresh cheeses anyway, and they have to, by law, be pasteurized.
So you couldn't even play around with those
I
cheeses.
Wouldn't even, no. And I've been to like cheese parties where it's all cheese makers, and somebody brought a raw chev. I'm telling you, 3/4 of the people in that room didn't touch it.
Really?
Because we kind of know better.
Not because it was like the flavor was not good.
It's not pasteurized. It's fresh.
I'm not eating
I'm not touching that.
That's hilarious.
What's your insurance? I'm not touching that. And well, just practically speaking too, insurance is people ask all the time, why don't you do raw? It's like, I don't want to pay that insurance bill.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there are factors that influence the making of the cheese that you don't think about, where the supply chain or the end flavor or things, but like the dollars and cents of running a business.
Sure, just being practical. Yeah, for sure.
Wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So we also recently changed milk providers for our goat milk.
Yeah, you had the same goat milk provider for Barry and
Barry
company,
K.
Right?
Yeah. That's right. You were buying goat from them a couple times.
A couple of times.
Sure.
Was it Windy Hill?
Windy Hill.
And so did he go out of business, change paths?
Yeah, they've had to change paths. It just got into a little bit of a. I don't want to go into it, but
fair enough.
Yeah. But they had to sell all their goats and sell all their milking equipment.
So where is your goat milk coming from?
It's coming from Levi Troyer, who is an Amish man outside of Fultonville.
And how does it get to you?
Peter goes and gets it.
Okay.
Yeah.
In buckets?
In those, if you can picture those tall cans.
Okay.
They're called 100-pound cans because once they're filled with milk, they weigh 100 pounds.
So it's still
10
manually
gallons
moved.
That very much so.
10 gallons at a time.
And Peter's doing that. Wow. Yeah. So he'll go and get like 15 or 20 of those cans.
Because there is no, you see commodity, milk treated as a commodity and how that's moved around
in those huge
refrigerated tanker trucks.
Yep.
But I suspect that's probably not even a thing for goat's milk.
So you can have smaller containers.
Okay. Back of a pickup truck.
Just smaller. Something. So there's you could get a cube for the back of your truck, and
so like one of those things that you would see water in, maybe, but jacketed to keep it cold.
Sure.
Right?
They can have a liner, a disposable liner. Is
that part of potentially your expansion?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the kind of the next step.
Yeah, because schlepping those 100-pound things around is a lot.
Yeah. But we also, we've looked at trucks and stuff. But if you did get into even a small truck, then you need a wash bay. So you're building essentially a garage that you can spray all the water down, and it has the drainage, and it has everything goes into a special tank
just for that
sewage
truck.
just for that. So at this point in my life, I just don't want to be digging any more holes and building more buildings.
If you ever wrote a book, you could call it No Spring Chicken.
Because I don't feel it. Yeah, right. Well,
Suzie Jones, No Spring Chicken.
So we started the building.
I won't even charge you for all these ideas.
Thank you very much. We started the building 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And finally got the approval to move into it in 2020, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're just about to start to put in the appropriately sized equipment. So that's 8 years when you look at, and that is a good reminder to me what a difference it is if you are kind of bootstrapping your way through it, or if you have boatloads of money. Can you imagine, if how much faster things would move if money weren't a question? But we've had to just slowly, organically, yes, getting some grants here and there.
Sure, but you've
none
not
of it.
taken on catastrophic debt loads.
And you can't.
Not as a farmer.
No, not at all.
Not as a farmer.
No.
That's and you can't be at the same time, while you need to be cautious about your debt load. You cannot be risk averse because
right, because then you never move anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
This is really interesting, and 8 years just to get where you intended to be when you built that building, right? So as
it's painful.
Yeah,
it's
right,
painful thinking about it.
And it will be a few more years likely before you've realized that volume with the stainless piping and such.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about that building, because it really did transform your farm, and I think this is a good segue to the way your retail has kind of shifted. So this building, tell me about the building as a whole.
Right. So the building, I couldn't tell you square footage. I don't remember that. But it's an enormous area that has the proper drainage. All the floors are sloped to a centralized stainless steel drain. All the walls are washable. The ceiling is washable. It has the air exchange that you need in order to make sure that pathogens are being filtered out. You come in the side door, and there's an air curtain that stops flies from coming in, all that kind of stuff. So it's not state of the art, but it's what we could afford, right?
For a farm,
it's
pretty
it's a big
state-of-the-art.
deal.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of a front area, because even when we were making cheese in that tiny little, in our first iteration of a cheese plant, which is this tiny, it was the milk house,
right,
for the dairy barn, right? So we were always asked, can our Boy Scout troop come and see what you're doing? Or can
get out.
There's no space. So we built this little area as an observation room. So at all these windows, you can see into the cheese making area, which, sorry, that's so satisfying watching other people work.
Oh, totally.
One of my favorite things.
Yeah, especially your husband.
Right. He makes it look fun.
He likes being on stage.
He doesn't mind it. And I think it's because he's second born. Is that it?
Okay.
Youngest child, the entertainer, I feel.
I see.
That's it. But then, so we got the approval to start making cheese in 2020, like February, March, and then pandemic hit. And that changed that space, which was meant to just be
from the observation deck
to a little store. Yeah, right. Yep.
And I think that is kind of agritourism and farms as
destinations.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a better word than entertainment, but experience.
Sure. Yeah.
And shopping on the farm, you're not that far off of the beaten path, but you have to
want to be there.
Yeah, you have to make a plan to go to Jones Family Farm. But shopping in your little area and looking in on the cheese making process is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Has that retail space on the farm been an important part of the economics of the farm?
During the pandemic, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
I mean, people would wait in line outside. We went through so much product. It was great, and I started reaching out to other farmers because we didn't have enough product.
Some other stuff there.
Yeah, we stocked a lot of stuff, and the sales in that kept us afloat for a year. solid until we could start distributing
I
again.
did my first Facebook Live.
Yes,
thing
at our farm.
from-
Yeah, that was huge. I don't know if I ever thanked you properly, but
Those were crazy days.
yeah.
It was like, what, March or maybe early April of the pandemic.
Yeah. No, that was incredibly thoughtful, and I really appreciate it because people did come.
That's that short food chain. You know, like I wasn't buying.
Sure.
We'd shut the restaurant down.
Right?
And if there was going to be an end to that pandemic, at that time, I don't even know, we certainly weren't looking.
No,
at
you
that.
had no idea.
But I needed to make sure that you guys were still there when I came back because I needed those things.
Right.
And also, we're friends, you know, like, and that's the length of that food chain. The person that you're buying from becomes your friend.
You want them to be there. So we buy milk from our neighbors, right? We buy cow's milk.
Literally your neighbors.
Literally our backyard neighbors, the Kevlishes.
Yep.
When we moved to this area 21 years ago, they were some of the first people that we met.
Yeah.
Joanne came and knocked on the door and said, "Who are you? What are you doing? I want to see, I want to meet these people."
sure.
And immediately we're kind of embraced by this community on our little hill.
Totally.
Helped us at every turn. When I think back at how helpful they were, a piece of equipment broken down, or, Peter would travel a lot in those early years. I'm fully pregnant, and the driveway was totally iced over. Another neighbor comes over with his tractor and just breaking up the ice for me. He comes, knocks on the door, and he said, "You need to ask for help. You need to know when you need help." I'm like, I wasn't going to go anywhere.
You're not in Gloucester
because
anymore.
look at how pregnant you are.
Right.
So it's...
But it is a community.
Yeah. And I want them to be there. I want them to be there for as long as possible, as long as they want to be there. So when we buy our milk from them, when we first came up with the relationship, we said, "So how much do you want?" And they'd never been asked that before. A dairy farmer just gets whatever the going price is. And of course it's a commodity. It goes up, it goes down, with the winds as far as I can tell. So, and most of the time, for most of my life, having grown up in farming communities, that price wasn't quite what it cost to make that milk.
Not a fair shake.
Not a fair shake. Thanks for that segue. So we said, well, okay, you have to know your cost, right? Do you know your cost? Yeah, okay. Well, now add something to that so you can pay yourselves. You can keep your own lights on. That's how we price our products.
Totally.
We look at our
Profit.
cost.
It's not a dirty word.
Right. Because we want you to be here
Yeah.
for the long term.
So you have this concept or this term.
Yeah. We've called it fair shake milk.
Yeah.
And we said, we're going to pay you. We put a floor. And it sounds cheap to me when I say it out loud, but $20 a hundredweight.
Okay.
So that's how milk is measured in volume, right?
$20 per one of those cans.
Per 100 pounds of milk. Yeah, exactly. And that's cheap. That's the floor.
That's as low as you'll ever.
That's low as we'll ever go, because then he still is making a couple of bucks per 100, right? Yeah. So, but that's his. But very often he'll get a check. They'll get the check in the mail, and it's well below his cost.
Sure. So
that's not okay.
That's because the Kevlishes still have a tanker pull up.
Yes, they do, because we can't take all of their milk.
Of course.
Right.
So they're making better money on the milk that they sell you.
Yes.
They should.
And this past year and a half, maybe it was 2 years, the milk did go up above $20 a hundredweight, and we went up with the market. So there was no downside risk for them.
Fair shake milk is, and it's just what this community of agriculture and food and beverage is to me, and it's kind of the crux of this podcast.
Yeah.
It is a community, and it might be as close as we are, just a few miles separating us, but it also could be, from here to Long Island. But I still feel it to be very much a community, and I don't even know how many times a week I say the adage that a rising tide lifts all ships.
Sure.
And I believe that, and I always have, and that's what farm to table really means. It's the length of that food chain. We want our neighbors to succeed.
Yeah.
And we want to see growth for everyone, I think that you and I could talk for ages about the economics of running a small business, but I'm proud to have been working with you guys for as long as I have, and now things are going to change a little bit, but I'll still be among your biggest fans, and
Thanks.
I appreciate you taking the time to come here and chat with me. I suspect that whether it be Peter or Harper, there's probably another Jones that could land on this podcast sometime down the road. Tell us about, both locally and in the World Wide Web, where the best ways to find you and Jones Family Farm, whether it be physically purchasing or procuring some of your awesome products, or just finding you in the ether.
Yeah, I think the best way really is, especially if you're local, is to either come to our farm, which is
that farm store we talked about,
off the beaten path, or we sell through a couple of local stores, like Local Foods Mohawk Valley is a buying club.
An awesome.
In Clinton, Tom's Natural Foods. Yeah. And then there's also these great restaurants that use our products. So that's, support them, support
Sure.
Nola's, support
You can
Taylor
find all those on your website.
Yeah.
You have a really good website of where you can find your products.
Yeah. Support Bagel Grove, that all of our cream cheese it's our cream cheese, which is, they've been a huge fan of ours since the beginning.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's anotherjonesfamilyfarm.com, right?
Yes, that's right. Careful when you name your farm.
Which is just as,
that
to me, your web address says so much about you and Peter, and
So I don't ever want to take it too seriously.
Right.
I absolutely love what we're doing, but I also am not going to get ponderous about it. It's just, what's the point?
And so when the other Jones Family Farm, when you decided you needed a website, and you're like, oh damn,
I know, so dumb.
yeah. Are they cheesemakers? I can't remember.
No, so
I've landed on their website a bunch of times.
Multiple Jones Family Farms,
Sure.
of course, and but there's a big one in Connecticut. They've got a pumpkin patch, and they've got winemaking, and
they're the ones who've sent you the cease and desists. Really.
Thankfully, no. In fact, somebody sent a really, really nice thank you note, or maybe it was a congratulatory something
to them,
and they opened it and went, "Oh, this is for us," and they forwarded it to us.
Oh, that's so nice.
Very, very sweet. Yes.
Cool. So anotherjonesfamilyfarm.com and all the socials, and sign up for your mailing list, because you are an excellent writer, and you write about the things that matter to you and Peter and your family.
Yeah, and if I'm not talking to people directly, then I'm talking to them through the newsletter. Yeah. And if I've learned anything, storytelling is so important. Having somebody understand your voice, finding your voice actually is probably the first thing that has to happen. And I found that working at farmers markets.
Awesome.
Yep.
And so we'll wrap up because we're going to go eat some of Harper's cheese.
Yes.
We decided that we weren't going to eat cheese while having the conversation.
I think that was a good choice.
And let's have a little cheers to our ongoing friendship. We're
right.
drinking Pinot Gris from Long Island, Bedell Cellars. Beautiful wine that I brought in today because I knew that you were bringing a goat's cheese,
yes.
An experiment of Harper's.
Yeah. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
While the Hospitalitarian podcast is rooted in the Mohawk Valley, we celebrate the whole of hospitality in the Empire State. The Hospitalitarian is recorded at MVCC's Thinkubator and produced by Ryan Miller at Rust Belt Studios in Utica. Theme music by Nashua Robb.